You are not imagining it. Somewhere in your late 20s or early 30s, something shifted. Thinking feels slightly harder. Words take a moment longer to find. You feel mentally slower than you used to, and nobody is talking about why. Most people assume this is just aging, inevitable, normal, something to accept. But the neuroscience tells a completely different story. The cognitive decline most people experience in their 30s and beyond is not simply the passage of time. It is a set of specific, measurable biological changes, most of which are either preventable or reversible with the right interventions. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what is happening inside your brain as it ages, why it accelerates in modern life, and what the research shows can genuinely slow or reverse it. To understand brain aging, you need to understand what is actually changing at the cellular level. The first change is in processing speed. Research consistently shows that raw cognitive processing speed, how fast your brain handles information, peaks in the mid-20s and begins a gradual decline from around age 25 onward. This is not dramatic initially, but it is measurable. The mechanism is partly related to myelin, the protective sheath that coats your neural connections and determines how fast signals travel between neurons. Myelin production and maintenance become less efficient with age, slowing signal transmission. The second major change is in neurogenesis, the brain's ability to generate new neurons. For decades, scientists believed adults could not grow new brain cells. We now know this is wrong. The hippocampus, your primary memory center, continues producing new neurons throughout life. But the rate of neurogenesis drops significantly with age, poor lifestyle, chronic stress, and lack of physical exercise. The third change is in working memory capacity and cognitive flexibility. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for holding information in mind, switching between tasks, and filtering irrelevant information, shows age-related reductions in gray matter density beginning in the 30s. But here is the critical point that most people miss entirely. These changes are not fixed. They are heavily influenced by lifestyle, environment, and behavior. The difference between a 45-year-old with a sharp mind and one who feels cognitively slow is not primarily genetics. It is the daily conditions their brain is operating in. Natural brain aging is gradual and manageable. What most people experience is accelerated brain aging, driven by specific modern lifestyle factors that compound the natural process. Prolonged elevated cortisol, the stress hormone, is one of the most well-documented causes of accelerated brain aging. A landmark study from Stanford found that chronic stress causes measurable hippocampal shrinkage, physically reducing the size of your memory center. Cortisol suppresses neurogenesis, accelerates neuron death, and impairs the formation of new memories. Exercise is the single most powerful stimulus for neurogenesis that science has identified. A 2011 study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that adults who walked regularly for 1 year increased hippocampal volume by 2%, effectively reversing 1 to 2 years of age-related hippocampal shrinkage. Sedentary lifestyle removes this stimulus entirely, accelerating the natural rate of cognitive decline. 2% hippocampal volume increase after just 1 year of regular walking, reversing 1 to 2 years of age-related shrinkage. The brain's immune system is highly sensitive to dietary signals. Diets high in ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, and industrial seed oils promote chronic neuroinflammation, the same mechanism we discussed in our brain fog video. Neuroinflammation accelerates neuron damage, reduces neuroplasticity, and impairs the glymphatic system's ability to clean the brain during sleep. Your brain operates on a use it or lose it principle. Neural pathways that are regularly challenged and used maintain their density and speed. Those that aren't gradually prune. Passive consumption, scrolling, watching, listening without active engagement, provides stimulation without cognitive challenge. Over years, this lack of genuine mental challenge accelerates the natural thinning of neural connections. Here is the principle that changes everything. Neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to physically reorganize itself, forming new connections, strengthening existing ones, and even generating new neurons in response to experience, learning, and environment. For most of human history, scientists believed the adult brain was fixed. What you had at 25 was what you had. The groundbreaking work of researchers like Michael Merzenich and Marion Diamond in the late 20th century permanently changed this understanding. We now know that the brain continues to change in response to experience at every age. The rate of change slows with age, but the capacity never disappears entirely. A 60-year-old brain exposed to the right conditions can grow new neurons, form new connections, and improve measurably in cognitive function. Any age neurogenesis and neural connection formation continue throughout life. Rate slows, but capacity never stops. The practical implication is profound. The cognitive decline most people experience is not a fixed destiny. It is a trajectory that can be altered by changing the conditions your brain is operating in. The research is unambiguous on this point. Regular aerobic exercise is the single most effective intervention for maintaining and improving cognitive function across all age groups. It directly stimulates BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, often called fertilizer for the brain. BDNF promotes neurogenesis, strengthens synaptic connections, and protects existing neurons from stress-related damage. Minimum effective dose: 150 minutes per week of moderate aerobic exercise. Walking counts. The hippocampal volume increases documented in research were achieved with walking alone, not intense training. As covered in a previous video, sleep is when your brain clears beta amyloid and other toxic proteins through the lymphatic system. Chronic sleep deprivation is one of the strongest predictors of accelerated cognitive decline and dementia risk. Protecting sleep quality is not optional. It is maintenance. Without it, every other intervention is significantly less effective. Passive stimulation does not drive neuroplasticity. Genuine learning does. Activities that require your brain to form new connections, learning a language, a musical instrument, a new technical skill, complex problem solving, directly stimulate the formation of new neural pathways. The difficulty is the point. If it is not challenging, it is not driving change. Research from the Max Planck Institute found that learning a new language in adulthood measurably increases gray matter density in multiple brain regions, even when started after age 40. Reducing chronic cortisol is directly protective of hippocampal volume. The most research-supported methods: regular physical exercise, consistent sleep schedule, social connection, mindfulness practice, and reducing chronic environmental stressors where possible. Even 10 minutes of daily mindfulness practice has been shown to reduce cortisol and measurably increase gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex within 8 weeks. The brain is 60% fat by dry weight. It requires specific fatty acids, particularly omega-3s, EPA and DHA, for membrane fluidity and neurotransmitter function. A diet rich in oily fish, leafy greens, berries, nuts, and seeds provides the raw materials for neuroplasticity. The Mediterranean diet pattern is the most studied and most consistently associated with slower cognitive aging and lower dementia risk across multiple large-scale studies. The brain you have today is not the brain you are stuck with. Cognitive decline is real, but it is not a fixed destination. It is a speed, and that speed is largely determined by the daily conditions your brain is operating in. The research is clear. Exercise grows new neurons. Sleep clears toxic waste. Novel learning builds new connections. Stress management protects existing ones. Nutrition provides the raw materials for all of it. None of this requires extraordinary effort. It requires understanding what your brain actually needs, and making that a priority before the decline becomes harder to reverse. Subscribe to VPOD Brain for weekly breakdowns of how your brain actually works. Real neuroscience. No motivation, no hacks, just the research. We'll see you in the next one.